most of these pots are made with scraps of clay. My trimmings, like you can really see the trimmings here easily. You know, like this is trimmings from porcelain, and we're like something like this. Well, that's porcelain also. This is Coleman porcelain, donated by Curtis. And this is black iron. I mean black iron. This is
Black Mountain.
Black Mountain?
no. It's dark brown clay with Dave's porcelain. And I did iron oxide in the cracks and rubbed it off.
Oh.
And it's Winnaker yellow, and it did some really beautiful things. But I just a quick how I discovered this as a production potter. I didn't recycle scraps. It was just too time consuming. So when I was trimming, I would throw like a lot of stuff at once. And when I trimmed it, I would take my scraps and I just threw them in the trash. And there was a bowl that had been bisqued, but it was cracked. So it was in the trash, and I was throwing, trimmings in it. And for some reason, I moved the bowl, and the piece had dried, and there was all this wonderful texture on it. And I went, wow, I could make a mold and make that into a bowl. And so I started making those probably in about 1985, something like that. But and what I do, the first thing I do is I throw a pot. It's bisque, but instead of making the inside smooth, you can see there's a foot already I put inside of it. This one, I cheated. I bought a terracotta planter at Home Depot during the lockdown, and it was planted up, and then plants died. And I went, oh, that's neat. And the reason it works really good, and the bisque pots work really good for this, is that when I put the scraps in, and I start to I press them and stuff, and then my last step after I get it all smooth as much as I can with my hands, I put it on the wheel and I turn it. I did this one this afternoon, and I did it purposely so that by the end of the class, I'll turn it over and you'll be able to see, all the texture on the outside. Because people always go, well, how do you get that texture on the outside? And I'm sitting there, I'm showing them that it just doesn't compute. And they're usually not around for when I turn the pot over and pull the bowl out.
Right.
But the wonderful thing is that the bisque pot sucks the moisture out, and it's just going to release, and it'll be. Put this one right here. Now I'll move this, and then at the end I will show you how it releases. Okay, the first thing I do, and I forgot to bring my little plug in here, so I'm going to make a little plug for. And then I have all these bags that have various pieces of clay in different stages. But what I'm doing here is I'm just putting this in, and that will stop up the hole, because I don't want a hole in a bowl. And that was made in this mold right here.
Yeah.
And that was the white porcelain?
The white is porcelain.
And you can mix clays.
No. Yeah, you can. You can. Where this one is all porcelain with stoneware trimmings, and I rolled these out with my hand, and then I pressed them into the bowl. So you can, it's unlimited what you can do with them. I used to do wheat designs, and I would have with it blown by the wind, and then I'd do one really narrow one with the little wheat things. Anyway,
Now, some of them, like this one, if that's trimmings, they're quite fat.
This one, I ran out of trimmings, and so I had my clay, and I just took my, not this tool, but one of the tools, I just went like this, got a whole bunch of them out. So, and actually I did that today, so I would have trimmings for tonight. They're a little bit thicker. Where like this one, you can see it's actually trimmings. And I don't have, if you've seen, I do bowl, I do pots, and I have like a wave design, and I take my one of these, but a narrow one, and go through around and around, and I use those trimmings for that, and also the trimmings from when I trimmed the bottom. This one I didn't have to trim the bottom because I already, in the mold, I already have it.
So I have a question. What if you're not a thrower?
You don't have to, then you get a mold, and have somebody make a mold for you, or you can go to Home Depot and look for planters that are terracotta, because terracotta is porous. And I like this one because it has this really nice, elegant foot on it, you know. It makes it.
We cannot do it with those plaster ones?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, if there's a plaster one that will work for you, you can do that. But I like making my own mold, because then I get the shape I want. And I'm experimenting with one that's upright, and then another one for the top. And so what I do is I'll join them together. But in the one for the top, I'll cut like a hole like this, and then I'll stick my finger in and I'll pull it up, and I'll make it into a base. And then I'll score them and join them together. And then I have all the texture on the outside still. But let's see. I'm going to use this one. I'm going to move this over here just so that there's more room. I can probably move these also. Okay, I'm going to make this out of Amador, and I'll use porcelain scraps also, and Amador scraps. But what I do is, first step is, I need to make the bottom. So I'm just going to make a ball of clay. And that's going to go in the, I'll flatten it out. That's why I have a rolling pin here. Probably could have used a little bit more, but that'll be okay. And what I'm going to do now is I'll put this in the bottom. I just lay it in there, and then I'm going to press it down all around it.
So, Tim, do you make it thicker for the bottom?
Yeah, a little bit.
Like a half an inch?
Yeah, it can be more. I probably normally would make it a little bit more, but I didn't gauge it right. So what I'm going to do now is, since it's not covering as much as I wanted it to, I'm going to put some, see how there's, it's not covering the bottom?
Right.
I'll press some of these in, and at the same time I'm going to make it a little bit thicker. and you use a special tool for this, your thumb. But I kind of,
Can you hold it up first? Tim?
yeah.
All of us, all of us.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just me.
Just you. I find it interesting. It's like, in a way, these pots represent my life because it's stuff that most people throw away in my life before Christ came into it. I was a drug addict and babbling idiot, basically. I had done so many drugs I lost my mind. I couldn't read anymore. And it's like, I take the scraps of clay that most potters at that time were throwing away and was able to make it into a usable vessel. And that's kind of what God did with my life.
Put up.
And I'm still smoothing it out. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to add little pieces of clay around the edge down here. No particular shape, but I'm just, and that will kind of help. I'm putting them around there, and then I'm going to smooth all those out. And I love that you can take your scraps of clay and make them into something really nice.
True.
And I know Rayu is always recycling her clay, and anyone else's that will give it to her. And I'm too lazy to do that. But I do use it.
You do.
Okay, now it looks kind of funky. It's just, so now I'm just going to smooth it out with my thumb.
Can you let a couple of us take pictures of that?
Oh yeah.
Now, it's not gonna stick in there? Okay.
Yeah, I'll show you how.
You're gonna get it out?
It's actually pretty amazing. I never would have guessed. No.
So when you throw the original bowl, do you have a size in mind that you're doing, or are you gonna just?
I just want to do a couple different size bowls. And the bowls I'm using except for this one, I did my first week back in the ceramics class because I wanted to make these. Because I had friends who had bought them, customers who had bought them in the past that said, we want some of your scrap bowls. But I go, well, I'm not shipping, so you're gonna have to come here. But this one lady who was a really good customer, I ship her some bowls once a year. She initially wanted 12 of them. And I go, I can't make that. It'll take you forever because they don't always get in the kill because they take a lot of room. Okay, now I just smoothed that out. Now, it doesn't look real smooth, and it's not real smooth yet. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of Dave's raisin bread from Stater Brothers. And here's scraps. And you can try to lay them in some kind of orderly fashion, but I don't. Unless I'm, have something. See, I put them like this, and I'll just build that up. I'll go all the way around, and I'll put a layer of that, and then I'll come in with some porcelain scraps for the second layer.
So I have a question. So we hand builders have slab left over. Well, I do when I make stuff. So then we could just cut out any shape we want from that slab and apply it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could, for sure.
Yeah,
You're not limited to scraps like this.
right.
That's like, some of them I get real detailed and where, like this one, not this one. This one, I rolled all these out of porcelain, but then I rolled all these little balls and stuck around the edge, so you get kind of a design.
Yeah.
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 And so it was interesting, and we'll probably make another one sometime.
So this was originally a planter that you bought
Yeah,
at Home Depot.
At Home Depot. And I didn't buy it I bought it during the lockdown, and when the plant died, I go, oh, that would make a really nice bowl. Scrap bowl.
Oh, so you didn't throw those forms?
This one. All the other ones I did.
The other ones? Oh.
Yeah. So I'm laying them in on top of that first layer, and then in a little bit I will, well, even now I will take it out.
Can you show me again, please?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to start pressing them into the bowl itself. So not real hard yet, but just hard enough. Yeah, just the right, you know how to do that. Sorry.
So you're pressing all the scraps into the sides?
Yeah,
Are you putting clay on top of them to press them in?
I'm not, but
Or just adding more scraps?
I'm adding more scraps. But then once I get all my scraps
Then
in,
you do that.
then I'm going to put some clay in where there's like places where there's kind of divots. Now I'm going to switch to porcelain, beige porcelain. Or really interesting because it's lots of little pieces. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press them around the edges.
People.
What I've already done, and maybe even and then there's some holes. So I'll put those in there. But it's like I'll show you just a second. I have something to show you.
There's a summer class for porcelain next door. We can ask them to save the scraps.
Well, Curtis really is good about giving me scraps.
Yeah.
Those are very dry scraps too,
Huh?
aren't they? Those look really dry.
It's still moist.
Oh.
But what's going to happen, even if it's dry, when I put up my wheel and throw it, I'm adding moisture to it. So it's going to be.
It just looks crumbly.
It is a little crumbly. It's crumbly because they're little pieces.
Yeah.
But like I could squish this down and make a ball of clay and throw it at you real easily. And then you would go, wait a minute, that's not so crumbly.
We're heckling for that.
No, I just think it's interesting.
Yeah.
And I watched so I'm maybe I'll
So when you bought that bowl, you had plants in it?
I planted, my wife planted it.
But it just came as a pottery bowl.
Yeah, they have in Home Depot, there's a whole bunch of terracotta bowls, planters. And you just look and see which one would make a good bowl. I did have some that were straight up, and I made into planters at first. And they were really thick, but they worked fine. I did some really nice scrap bowls, but people don't want to pay the money for a planter that they'll pay for a bowl. So I'm, okay, this supplements our income, otherwise we're living on Social Security, and that's not living at all. We were pretty lame when we moved back here from Romania. We thought, oh wow, we'll be able to, because we were able to buy our house outright. We thought, oh, cool, we just have HOA and groceries and,
Yeah, right.
and medical bills and insurance
And on and on.
and on and on. Food. Yeah, food. And, together we were probably about $3,000. I thought, oh, $3,000, that's good. We'll be able to live on that. In Romania, we could live on it really easy, like
Yeah,
peas.
really.
Or in 1967 or something.
Yeah.
But, so I started selling my paintings. During the lockdown, I painted every day, and I didn't know people would buy my paintings. And
No, they're beautiful.
They are. They are.
some friends were buying them on my Facebook, and I thought, okay, they pity us. So they're buying some stuff, but I want to see what real people. So they had, right when the lockdown stopped, they had what was called the Sawdust Marketplace. And nobody wanted to do it, and I applied, and I got in, and it was like, they allowed 250 people on the grounds at a time, and there were 49 artists exhibiting. And I thought, okay, well, there's going to be some people. There wasn't a lot of people there, but I sold $1,600 worth of paintings the first day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, people will buy my paintings.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to price them or anything.
Yeah.
And so I got in the next weekend too, and I did even better. And then I applied as a guest artist. I got in as a guest artist. They had 12 spaces, and 50 people applied, and they picked my name first.
Wow.
So I went, okay, God. And then last year, because you have to live in Laguna Beach, and I don't, obviously. So last year I applied, and they said, sorry, we're not having any guest artists this year. Okay. So the night before booth pick day, the president of the Sawdust called me and said, we have one space left, we want to give it to you. You just take whatever's left. I go, I'll gladly do that. So they reviewed my case. I had some people on the board that were fighting to get my seniority reinstated. And they reviewed my case and the bylaws. And halfway through the Sawdust, they contacted me and said, we've got your seniority back.
Yay.
You'll be at the end of the line, but you know you'll be guaranteed a booth.
Wow, great.
So anyway, I'm there. I sell pottery there, and I do good with the pots that I sell. But my main income is my paintings.
Yeah.
I probably 90% of what we make is from my paintings.
They're really beautiful.
I'm just like totally amazed.
You have them displayed anywhere, the paintings?
They will be starting to be displayed at the Sawdust Festival in less than 2 weeks, on the 30th.
Okay, good.
When you said that you were a struggling artist at the beginning, I brought to mind the old joke that what's the difference between a struggling artist and a large pepperoni pizza? A large pepperoni pizza will fill your family of 4.
Okay. And I'm gonna press it a little bit more. And now,
Oh, wait a minute, are you gonna show us?
oh, I'm sorry. And it might not look like anything right now.
Looks like a good
But-
dessert.
When it pops out of the mold,
It looks.
So you've only used 2 colors, 2 kinds of clay.
just, yeah, the porcelain and then the amador. And I'm gonna use it. Oh. Thank you, Radio.
How do you know what is?
Trim sometimes. So now, what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna roll a coil, and the coil is gonna go around the rim. And that's what's gonna join it all together. I'll clean this up. I don't have it. Because it doesn't work on the canvas. And
Yeah.
it definitely doesn't work on newspaper. So you could do it on the floor, but
No.
and every now and then I'll roll a coil that will be long enough to do in one. Usually I have to join a couple of bits. This looks like it might just make it.
How big is your coil?
Yeah.
When it's finished, I'll show you.
Okay.
I'll know when I'm finished. Maybe a ½ inch.
Okay. Okay.
I didn't realize it came out.
I can see by looking in your camera. Thank you.
I'm patting it because it's going flat in places, so I just want it to keep kind of as round as I can keep it. Although flat would be okay too, if we're uniformly flat.
Yeah. To make them even.
Okay, this is about the thickness.
Oh, yeah, that's bigger than a half.
Yeah.
Okay, it's bigger than that. Okay, but what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna take my pen tool and I'll show you. And this will help hold it all together.
You're scoring.
Is that what you're?
right?
So you're scoring all the different colors? Oh, yeah.
It won't go through. I'm not going all the way through.
Yeah.
Assorted here.
Surface.
Yeah, so that when I press the clay in, they're gonna join together. I never used to do that, but I have to do that for some reason, I get separation sometimes. And I hate to have separation when you've spent so much time doing something and then it's a second. And you don't have to be real meticulous with this, but just a little bit.
Tim, is that because you're mixing different kinds of clay?
Yeah, and they're different hardnesses.
Right.
So you can see I've scored it. And you see right here, there's a big hole here, but I'm going to cover that up. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start here, and I'll go around the edge, and I'll press it so into the clay down below, so that it doesn't fall down. But I just go all the way around.
Oh.
That's excitement.
You've done this before.
I never get it that good. And what I do is I just scoring each side here, one here and one here, so that when I press it together, it goes together. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm just going to start with my thumb. And see how I'm pressing down? I'm just pressing down with my thumb into the clay that's already there.
All in one direction.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. But then when I get to smoothing it more, I'm going to go in multiple directions. Okay, I pretty much have it all the way down. But now I'm going to add other clay into it, so it will work better. So I just take chunks.
Water ready? Yeah.
Not yet. I see. I'm mixing it. I'm working it in.
One more.
So I'm working it into the clay that's already there, the clay that I scored. And at the beginning up here, you put a little bit more because it's going to take more to join them together better. And then there'll be I see a place where there's a hole pretty much, so I put an extra amount of clay in there.
You must have strong thumbs. I don't think I could do that in one sitting.
He has no arthritis in his thumbs.
At the end of doing this, you'll have strong thumbs.
Yeah, this is what people always go, well, how do you get that out? And I made one earlier today so I can show you how I get it out. Like I won't be able to get this one out tonight. So I'll come in tomorrow sometime and turn it over. I cover it good enough with plastic. To come.
As it
No, I
dries,
probably
does
will
it
come.
shrink a little bit? Is that how you do it?
Yeah, so then it would pop out, my guess.
It's slump mode, so you can leave it inside. It's slump mode, so you
I
can.
don't know what slump mold is.
Slump is going
Yeah.
down.
Yeah, slump
Pump
mode.
is over.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, then it's a slump mold.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I just don't, I don't.
That's
yeah.
okay. I just learned it.
You wanted to try it out.
See, I learned something too tonight.
She wants to show us how smart she is.
Yeah, right.
Looks like it's popping.
Yeah.
So due to the
I
shrinkage
think I always learn
overnight,
something
they'll be
from
able to
you.
get it out then
Yeah,
tomorrow.
yeah. But if it's, if it's, you put it on the top, then you won't be able to.
You can actually do
Because it's gonna
coils,
shrink.
add
It's gonna
more at a
crack.
time, but this works good for me. I put them a little bit at a time.
Pretty fast.
If I tried that, it would take a while. But he should
I
do
know. For me, it won't be.
this. Yeah, not going to be a one-day
Yeah.
thing.
No.
You maybe. You,
No, not really. This, but Tim is really fast. I
Oh
think
yeah.
it's fast.
Yeah.
So you can see I'm almost
Wow.
almost got it covered.
Right.
And there's area.
Yeah.
You can throw a ball.
really easy.
You want to sit here? No.
You need to practice.
If I'm in here and I have a free moment and you have some clay, I can make a bowl for you.
Oh, that's nice.
You can sell the mold. You can start selling mold.
No.
Not a lot of profit.
And these are probably my best-selling pots.
I bet.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
beautiful.
They are.
Yeah.
Your work is really gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anyone I've never seen anyone making them.
No.
Although lately I've seen stuff on Pinterest that is close.
There's going to be more people now.
Right. You might see a rise in this kind of work.
Yeah, you might have competition.
Yeah, we're all going to Curtis now.
It's going to be quite a while before I be competition to
Well, we could use VMix scraps.
Yeah, you can use any of the clay that we have here. You can use.
Yeah.
You know.
Just want some contrasting colors.
I had been using just Dave's porcelain for my porcelain, and I tried English porcelain, but it just popped off. It didn't fit with like my chrysanthemum flowers. All of them that I did, the petals just fell off. Some of them before I even fired them. You know, I just went.
That's English porcelain?
English
Yeah,
porcelain.
yeah.
Wow.
So I tried Coleman from some of the scraps that Curtis gave me, and they work.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the petals are so much whiter. Reminds me of I used to use Aardvark's porcelain years ago, and they just had one porcelain then. And I bought all my clay from Aardvark back then. It was right when they first started their business, in the first year. And
Tim?
it's neat. I go there now, and
Yeah.
you know, Doug and Klaus, Doug's kids. I know all of them, and they remember me from when they were kids. Liz and Rick and.
Tim, do you put more clay at the bottom or just on the side?
I work it down so I have it, it's kind of smooth.
Okay.
So I did put a little bit more. I'm pressing it down towards the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You can see the pattern.
Uh-huh.
How it's
Yeah,
going
right.
down towards the
Mhm.
bottom.
Right.
Oh, good color.
This will be on YouTube.
And now I'm ready for
Yeah.
the next step. But I do that on the wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Get it in center.
Mm-hmm.
Close enough.
Wait.
Now what I'm doing is I'm just gonna attach this down here so it doesn't go flying.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't guarantee that it won't.
Could you use one of these?
Yeah, if you have a grip, gift grip, it works really good. Okay, the first thing I'm gonna do is my sponge is wet. And I'll just get some water going in here. My hand's wet. And I'm not pressing really hard right now. I'm just kind of.
Oh, it has a sponge.
Yeah. Oh, isn't that pretty? It's so good.
I like to use a metal, a wooden rib on this part at first, and it just kind of gets rid of any of the high spots and pushes the clay into the low spots. And it compresses it all together, so you're not, hopefully you're not going to have divots. I see divots already.
So you did an actual pull starting from the bottom and going up to the.
Well, I'm not doing that. I'm kind of working my way down right now.
I mean, the original one, it was almost like the.
Well, yeah, originally you throw it just like a regular pot.
Right.
And now I went down and now I'm going back up. I need a little bit more water.
I noticed that you put the water on your sponge and not dribbled it into the.
Yeah.
And you're just using your hand now?
Well, I'm using the sponge, but I'm using, just my hand in the sponge.
Fingertips, right?
Yeah. But I'm going to go back down to the bottom with my rib. And I'm going to use my metal rib.
Can you see?
These are my most expensive tools. Because I lose them. I lose them all the time.
So why did you use the wooden one first and then the metal?
Because the wooden one I can get, this is more flexible, the wooden one is not. And the wooden one, it'll knock the ridges down quicker. And this I'm kind of shaving it a little bit. See, getting it, it's coming off like in a little bit. Now I'm kind of going like I'm pretending I'm throwing a pot, and I'm just going from the bottom up. Except I don't have to worry about it collapsing because I have something there to hold it. There's an area that I don't like.
Why don't you like it?
Because it's thinner and thicker and thinner and thicker, and it's a potential crack.
Oh.
That's why I'm going to go back over it, back and forth. That feels much better now.
Even at this stage, it may crack.
Pardon?
Even at this stage, it can
Not crack.
crack.
Not at this stage,
no.
in the drying stage, or actually in the firing stage. Because I have pots that look fine, and I get them out of the kiln, and there's like a little crack. There's one, the one I showed you, it has all the porcelain pieces going up in little balls on it. It's a second because it's got a little. It doesn't hurt the strength or anything, but there's a crack in it, and if you were to use it like for, it will leak liquid out of there. It'll be fine for a fruit bowl, you know, but for ice cream bowl.
You'd have to eat fast.
And we don't like ice cream headaches, do we? And I'm not going real fast with the wheel. And that's how I throw that way too. I don't throw fast. I see people throw really fast. It's too easy for something to go out of whack when you're throwing fast.
So Tim, for you to throw, the whole process you do it slowly?
Yeah.
The speed?
Yeah, I mean, see how I'm throwing, how it's
Yeah.
going now?
Mhm.
I pretty much, that's about my speed all for my whole pot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, centering and everything.
Okay.
I might go a little bit faster, but not a whole lot. And I know I've heard people teaching it here, and they say, just put it on full blast, and I'm just going, don't do that. Don't do that. Every little, when it's going really fast, every little wobble throws it further out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's wonderful.
Yeah, I don't like it fast too.
Okay, that's done.
Is
Very
that kind
nice.
of the ideal height that you want it above the edge
Yeah.
of the mold?
Uh-huh. You want it above, and sometimes I'll actually come over it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if I have that much clay on, but I don't have enough to do that. But, and when I up here, I'm using my finger here, but I'm pushing it out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's done. Let me wash my hands, and then I'll show you what it will look like when you pull it out of the mold.
Earlier, because you it's too wet.
I made this one this afternoon, and it's in a different mold. It's in.
Press directly onto the terracotta.
It's not in. one
It's
of
not
these.
yet.
It's a little bit bigger than that. So what I do is I just take this,
Oh.
Right.
just flip it over,
Wow.
and hopefully I'll be able to just go. Now I threw it this afternoon, so it's like this one. If I were going to be here for another, 2 or 3 hours,
2 or 3
I
hours.
could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But like this one, I didn't press it enough of the clay in, so I'm gonna have to trim it a little bit just to get that. See, there's I don't know if you can see that. There's like a dent.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But see, I made the foot rather than just being it smooth. When I threw it, I put the foot on it.
Mm.
So if I would have pressed it in enough, I wouldn't have to do that.
Right.
So what's your
So will you add clay here?
No,
Oh.
I'm going to just trim it in. I will smooth it so it probably won't be as high, and I will do that.
So Tim, what's your process of drying it? Do you cover it for a while?
I do,
Okay.
because if they dry too quick, there's a tendency to crack. So I'll cover it real loose. I won't tuck it in. I'll cover so the top is covered and there'll be a little bit of airflow. And then every day or so I'll take it and I'll go, get a lot of air in. I'll cover it a little bit looser. And for this to be, for me to totally uncover it, I could probably do it in 3 days, but I usually let it sit there for about 4 or 5 days. And then I'll uncover it, and then like these I made probably 2 weeks ago, and they're bone dry and they're ready to go into the
Do you use
Bisque.
any kind of outside finish?
What I do is I rub I paint iron oxide on it, and then I sponge it. I wipe it all off except for what's in the cracks. And then like with this one, I use black copper to do the same thing. Once it's bisqued, you put that on, and then I wax down about 1/2 inch or so that when I pour my glaze, if it dribbles a little bit, I don't have it dribbling all the way down. So, but usually, I'll fill it, I'll get a good amount of glaze in, and I'll just go like this, and until it's all poured out. And usually, I don't get any runs. So,
The one you made today, how long did you have it dry for?
I left the studio at 4 o'clock.
Oh, so it's only like about
So it didn't take
2 or 3 hours.
4 or 5 days.
No, that's the
No,
other
no,
part.
I mean,
the other part.
no. What I'm gonna do,
Oh,
what I'm gonna
get it
do
out-
now
To
is,
get it out of the mold, yeah.
I got it out of the mold, but I'm gonna cover it. I'll trim it before I leave real quick,
Right.
and then
Cover it.
I'll let it dry slowly, so that it's ready to go into the biscuit.
Do you dry it upside down like that? Or
No,
right
I
side up?
just.
You're gonna trim it for us?
So he was drawing 5 days after.
Right, but I'm talking about when you take it out of the mold, you did it today, so it was only like about 3 hours.
3 or 4 hours.
Yeah.
Pop it out.
And so, like sometimes, like I'll make it, and if it's like a really warm day or something, I can just stick it out in the sun, and I can look at the top and I can see where it pulls away from the mold, just a little bit, and you can do that in 2 hours sometimes.
Oh,
And so
okay.
then I turn it over.
Is that ready to be trimmed now, or do you have to wait?
Pardon?
Is that ready to be trimmed now?
Yeah, now I can trim it right now. It's hard enough.
What was the black decoration you used? You said you used iron oxide or
Black copper.
Black copper.
And we have it in
And that's oxide.
black copper oxide.
So when you said when you were glazing that bowl, that you waxed around the edge of the
Yeah, it's like with this one, when it's been bisqued, I'll do my stains on it, wipe it all off, and then I'll turn on my wheel, and I'll paint wax. I'll just spin it and do real careful around here.
But you don't go over the whole thing, you just.
No, just maybe down about this far. Sometimes I'll, like with it like this, I'll just cover all in here, especially if it's with black copper, because sometimes when you wax over the black copper, it will, the wax will pick it up, and you'll have streaks of black copper. So when I do black copper oxide, I will wax down as far as the design, even cover some of the design with wax.
Tim, you use iron oxide or black copper oxide. Is that your preference? Is that your personal preference?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the past, on porcelain, I've done cobalt carbonate, but it's okay. But the black copper and the iron I think, are much more effective.
Okay.
and you get the black, like this one was done with black
Yeah,
copper,
this,
and you can see how it's black, and
It's
then
really,
like,
really
all the cracks.
Yep.
Beautiful.
That one's really
So what-
beautiful.
But I didn't really understand what you were saying about the wax and the black copper oxide.
Okay.
That's for glazing.
Just for the glaze,
Okay, when
Yeah.
the interior glaze.
you don't do any waxing on the inside,
Right.
but it's like, especially with a porcelain. Okay, I will wax here, but I'll be real careful, and I'll try not to, smear it, because
Okay.
the wax will pick up
Pull it
some of
out.
the, yeah, it will pull it out, and it causes smears. So you have to be real careful on that. So like this one, I didn't put on the wheel to do it. I just did it by hand.
Do you just use your beeswax?
I'll
Just
use
beeswax?
wax resistant we have here.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Thank you.
So go out and try it, and you can do your own twist on it. Like this one is totally different. You did some kind of design. I'd never done that before, but during COVID, I did quite a few planters like that.